Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Interesting Modelling Company Sunday service. Drew's face is an absolute picture there because he's waiting for something to go wrong. So,
no, just welcome to Creepy Christmas Cheer.
You've not been watching that on BBC 4? Goodness me. Absolutely brilliant.
How often are we going to have to go through? I no longer have a television license, John.
Okay. All right, Rebel. Anyway, welcome. Why am I live from Somerset tonight? I've got that set up for the wrong show. There we go. There was a cock up tonight. So welcome to the Sunday service. We are going to have to be off at 8:30 sharpish tonight because Drew's got other things that he wishes to get on with, and I've got another show to do as well. So.
There's other things I'd rather be doing, frankly. No.
So we've got quite a bit of news to crack through this evening, and I'm just going to quickly run through when we've done our intros. I'm just going to quickly run through a fabulous box that I got from viewer Anthony Bird. So going clockwise, Drew, what have you been up to this week?
Mainly CAD work and stuff, and that's been more or less my week this week. Very little in terms of modelling. The AI-84 is creeping through paint at the moment. So, but at least you can actually see the rivets now that I've spent hours putting on there. There's quite a lot more paint work to do yet, including making masks for all the national insignia and stuff. But yeah, that's basically it. I think it was primed last week, and it's got a bit of paint on this week, but we're getting there. So, but otherwise, it's largely been a week of printing and designing in Fusion. Once people know you've got a 3D printer, they
it's a bit like once people know you've got a silhouette mask cutter.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Ian, what you been up to?
Waiting for some masks from you. I'm sorry.
Oh, by now.
No, not got them yet. But never mind. This is what they're for, though. I'll show you. Okay, so this is the classic old Revel monogram. Oh, actually, classic old monogram, not Revel monogram. Porsche 904, which I'm building as a Tiger Floria car. It's a lovely old kit. There's a good suggestion. It actually started off as an Aurora item, which I can't verify. It's one of those ones where everything opens up and it's all hinged. And, yeah, but as cars go, there were many of these running on the.
That's a nice place to put a join line on a car, isn't it?
Well, that one. that back deck tilts that way.
Oh, so there is actually a join there.
Yeah, there is actually a join there on the real car. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, right. Okay, I'll shut my mouth then.
Well, no. To be honest, the one that a lot of people get caught out by, and a lot of the 60s period Porsches do this. You see people going, there's an enormous step down the side. Then you go look at the real car, and there's an enormous step down the side. I saw someone very generously filling this with automotive putty and sanding it round. And then you look at the real car, and it's there on most of them. 906, 904.
We've all done it.
Yeah, and it's like filling the offset seam on a 109 fuselage. You know, they are offset. Yeah. So it's a nice, lovely old kit. This, and I'm kind of just, to be honest, I'm just chucking it together. It was an attempt to get a bit of mojo going. It worked, not so far. But that's that one. And my little pink Mustang that I showed last time I was on the show remains pink, awaiting yellow.
Nice.
Now reinstating panel lines. This is the clipped wing, clipped tail modified aircraft. Going to be Bardol mist in yellow with the black checkers, hence the pink primer. It's the Airfix kit, would you believe? This is the Newton.
Yeah, no, I would believe it. It's a really nice. The only thing I didn't like about that Airfix kit was how they dealt with the windscreen and canopy. Apart from that,
yeah, it's I had it lying around. I have the decals. Yeah, it's coming on. there's obviously de-armed the wing, removed all the various vents and bits for the wing guns, chopped the tailplanes, chopped quite a substantial amount off the wingtips, and then fitted the Honor type wingtips. Wrong thing. Do that. There you go. You can see them better now.
Very nice. Very nice. We
It's
are
coming
joined by Mr.
Good Lord.
Pollard.
My word.
How you doing, Spence?
Good evening. How are we?
He has got his microphone.
Oh, hello.
I know. I'm just seeing Spence turn up here has just made me very unprofessional. This, but I am just having a quick look at the Chelsea-Brentford score, and it remains 0-0. So
You need to have a quick look at the Southampton Spurs score.
Tottenham won. Yeah, 4-0 to Spurs at the moment. Ouch.
Well, they were
Anyway.
3-0 up after about 14 seconds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not
Sorry,
ideal.
boring football talk. Sorry, chaps.
Well, not that. I've just sat through the Manchester City Man U game, which has to be one of the worst
so much
football
fun.
I've seen in a longer time.
Yes.
Ian, can you not encourage them, please?
No.
I've just watched. I have to say that I've just watched that in the pub, and the Manchester United fans were going bonkers.
Bonkers. Yeah.
Absolutely bonkers.
But I wouldn't mind what they were going bonkers about. They had one decent player on the pitch,
Mm.
and he
It
helped.
was an awful. It was
Those
a
wondering what-
truly awful game between two truly awful teams, but it was. It was
for those
what it
wondering
was.
what happened in the last, I think it was about the last 2 minutes of the game, wasn't it, Spence? United scored 2 goals, so
Yeah.
They got a penalty after about 85 minutes to make it 1-1, and then they scored about 5 minutes later to make it 2-1 against the world's most expensively assembled football club. It was quite the most extraordinary thing, and it's always good if anybody is watching this who is into football. Watching Pep have a complete meltdown on the touchline is always funny. Never stops being funny.
No,
So, yeah.
Christopher.
So, Chris, how about those Yankees?
Yeah.
I was just about to say. Meanwhile, Seattle Seahawks have made a stunning comeback.
Oh yeah, I know. But sports wise, I'm like I'm not. I don't really watch American football that much. I root for the 49ers, but they're a terrible team. They're constantly injured, so it's like, yeah, it's just painful.
You're a
But
baseball man, aren't you?
baseball and hockey, I like hockey a lot, and hockey is great. You put it on the background and build a model, and not even look at it. And listen to the description of what's going on, and you can follow it. And when something happens and people yell, turn around and look at the TV. It's great.
6'2" for the Canadians hitting each other with sticks. What can go wrong?
Yeah,
Phenomenal.
usually well-mannered Canadians getting into fist fights on skates. It makes perfect sense.
Chris, modeling. What have you been up to?
Modeling wise, I've been working on my Clear the December projects, and the Mustang right now has got its decals on. For the most part, it's got. I still have to do the one on the bottom of the wing, and all the small decals. But I've pieced together the 51 on there to mimic the photograph I have of the airplane. Of course, as you know, Jonathan, there's no such thing as a font on an airplane. It's all hand painted, and the Tuskegee Airmen aircraft were all hand painted. And so this 5 is actually a decapitated 6 matched with the top of a 5 from another part of the sheet, and then the corners, the sharp corner added with a bit of decal. And I might be able to do it on my computer, but honestly, it was maybe an hour's worth of work for the 2 5s. And it's Kitten, which people know as Charles McGee's airplane, but after it went to depot and came back to the Tuskegee Airmen and was flown by Woody Spears. And I was able to use my own book as a reference, which is kind of cool. And that's my shameless plug of the day. And I actually have a printout of the picture of the aircraft in the book that Jim Laurier did. The proofs. And I printed it out, and one of my most treasured items in my collection of stuff is that print, that blown up print, signed by both Charles McGee and Woody Spears. So both the guys that flew this airplane. So I'm motivated to get it right.
48 scale, Chris.
Pardon?
Is that 48 scale?
No, that's the Arma 72nd scale one.
Oh, it looked like you.
If I just hold it closer to the screen of the camera,
That's fine.
That was 48 scale. I was about to say, what's next? Dogs and cats living together. Chris,
if I get really far back and hold it out like 30
I
seconds.
was waiting for a close up.
Yeah.
Far away.
I was gonna say, these Mustangs are close. Those Mustangs are far away. Mr.
Right.
Pollard, what have you been up to?
Well, I've just finished the third of my builds since the Nationals. I think I mentioned this last weekend. So I've done the Warhawk, which I did, the Airfix 48 scale kit. Then I did a fully loaded Edward 72nd scale P51, and I've just finished an Academy P47D Thunderbolt, which I've that one there. So that's my latest and final build of this year. I'm now effectively on holiday until the
You've broken up for Christmas.
I have broken up for Christmas. Yeah, because you know how publishing works. We all have to get everything done early and all that sort of stuff. But that wasn't in my plans actually. That P47, but I bought a dual boxing of an F86 Sabre and a P47, the Academy kit, because I wanted the F86 for a book, and I had the P47 as an sort of an additional kit. But it's really nice. That little Academy kit's really pretty. You know,
it's one of Academy's
better,
really well. Really nice models.
It is, yeah. It's kind of cool. And I had Craig Sargent got in touch with me, and he said, "You do know that there's a few problems with this kit," and he sort of listed them out, including like undercarriage legs and all of that kind of thing, and panel lines that needed to be filled, and a few other bits and pieces. But I did enjoy it. I really liked putting it together. And those Academy kits, they're about 10 quid in the UK, I think, anyway. But they also they've only got about 50 parts or something, so they go together really nicely, and they give you the opportunity to add a few bits and pieces of detail to them. And I really liked it. And I think that's probably only the third P47 that I've made in, you know, almost 50 years of building models. I think that's only the first 72nd scale kit I built. But I really enjoyed it. I think I'd like to do another one, maybe a Razorback. I might try and pick up a Razorback.
Oh yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about as well, with somebody had said about Academy kits and said, "Oh, you should have another look at Academy kits." And one of the ones that I was looking at, not Second World War, was the F8 Crusader. Apparently
that is an absolutely beautiful model. I've built that about 3 or 4 times. It's stunner of a model.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna pick up one of those F8 Crusaders and build one of those and sort of see how it goes. So that's sort of it, really. That's kind of it. And then today, the 24 scale Mustang arrived on the scene, but I looked at that, opened the box and had a look at parts and thought, what am I going to do with this? I think that's a year. I think I'm looking at a year of work on that model. And the way I'm sort of looking at, I sort of looked at it in the box and thought, I see as much work in building that 24th P51D as I did in building the Harrier T2. I think there's as much involved in that as there is in doing the Harrier. My only, when I looked at it and I opened the box, my only decision is, do I do this as it, or do I do an other version, an other color scheme of that? No. And I almost think this is it is kind of got to be done, really, because
I would say this is it is what you have to do from that, because it's just ties it all together, doesn't it?
It does, really. And I posted this. I posted the box art from this kit on my Facebook page, I think about a week ago, and everything. And I said that I think that it's the greatest piece of model kit box art ever.
Yep.
And I genuinely don't even think it's close. And then when the kit arrived today, and I had it at full size, the 24 scale kit, it is magnificent. It's just so perfect. I can't imagine how it could be bettered, really, because if you look at that box art, you can feel the speed of the aircraft when you look at the image. You know, and there's almost nothing on that box art that seems redundant, if that makes sense. Everything seems like it needs to be there. The angle is perfect. The way that the Mustang looks in that image is perfect. It's literally flawless. And it helps that the P-51D Mustang is the most beautiful aircraft to have flown during the Second World War. And you can throw Spitfire Mark 9s at me, you can throw Mosquitoes at me, you can throw any old nonsense at me. The Mustang it's the most beautiful aircraft to have taken flight.
Nonsense at you,
during
Spencer.
39-45. And I include the Tempest in that as well.
Yeah, well, you're wrong. You just I mean, it's cute and it's adorable, but it's just, you know,
it is so beautiful. But yeah, I think if I'm going to build it and I'm going to try and do a load of work on it, joking aside, I almost can't really get past this is it. It's almost the one, isn't it?
I'd agree.
Well, if you think the box art is that good, Spence, then I think you have to do this as it.
I think so. You know, any other kit. I mean, I've just done Big Beautiful Doll, which is a lovely scheme, isn't it? It is a lovely scheme. I think Ridge Runner is the other one, isn't it? In the kit, I think it's the one with the red nose and that's kind of a cool scheme in there.
That would be mine, because that was the first model I ever built was a snap tight with Ridge Runner 3 markings, and then later in life, when I actually got to fly in a Mustang, it was Ridge Runner 3. So I don't have one yet on my shelves. I got to build one of those.
Yeah,
I've got to say that when I was, I had the privilege of working on that vintage classic reissue. In fact, I've now done all the, I've pretty much done all the classic 24 scale Airfix kits, but I had considerable help from that chap down there in the States when it came to the Mustang. So thank you, Chris. That was very, I do believe your name may even be on the instruction sheet. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel somewhat important.
I have to say, having seen the kit now, because I've never owned the 24th Mustang, it's quite basic as a kit. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done to it.
71,
I was looking at yeah, surface detail, for instance, is a bit kind of all over the place and everything. And that's why I say that I think it's a year project. I don't think it's the sort of thing I want to build in a month, you know, put it together. And, you know, I can't see that being, and I'm almost tempted to try and get it done for the national championships next year, and maybe, and at the risk of making myself deeply unhappy and deeply miserable, maybe go back into competition and put it in the competition for that year.
Shall we crack on with the news? And the news is this week is IBG finally announced their secret project that they have been brilliantly trailing over the last few weeks. What a way of getting interest in a kit. And their latest kit is going to be a 72nd scale Gotha 242/244. Now, for those of you with slightly older memories, you may remember that indeed Italeri, back in the days when they were Italeri, they did the Gotha 242/244. What year do we reckon this was, chaps?
74.
1972.
1972, because it says on the schedule you sent us, John.
Yeah, there we go.
I didn't see the schedule. I have to say, I'm just a genius.
Yeah, 1972, and Italeri did both versions in the kit. They did the glider version and the powered version. And Kel Surprise, IBG are doing the same. So they're doing the 244 with the engines, and they're doing the 242 glider as well. In fact, they're doing the sub variants as well. Oh my goodness! I mean, anybody who says, "Oh, but Italeri have done," well, they did one 52 years ago. That was over half a century ago. And indeed, we have had ICM have done this in 48th in the last couple of years, but it's been overdue as a new 72nd scale kit. And as we can see from the CAD renders, I think this looks rather splendid.
So what you've just said, John, is that the release of the Italeri kit was nearer the end of World War II than now.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
That's a scary thought, isn't it? Yeah. And it doesn't look like IBG are skimping on the interior for this kit either, which is just as well, because you can actually see quite a bit of it on the finished model, as we see from...
It does look fabulous in those renders, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It really does. And I was kind of with what Drew said earlier on today. I think, forgive me, it was either earlier on today or yesterday, said that it was one of those announcements that didn't seem to be particularly interesting. And then all of a sudden you look at it and think, actually, I really fancy building that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said. I mean, as an announcement, because I was expecting something not this, shall we say. It was like, oh, really? And then, but I just look at it and I just know that as soon as it hits the shelves, I'm going to want one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't. A lot of these things don't have to make sense, do they?
No.
As a type, it's of no interest to me whatsoever. But I've got a feeling it's going to become very interesting very quickly.
Full set of Volshenjägers go inside. It's going to be quite an impressive painting task.
Yeah.
That's a lot of painting, isn't it?
Great.
It sometimes this happens, though, doesn't it? Because you get a kit gets released of something that as a subject just doesn't interest you at all, but the moment you actually see the model, you suddenly think, yeah, I want to build that.
Yeah. Suddenly it's built in your mind. And these renders are doing it an awful lot of favors.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing, actually, what they're doing is they're doing the aircraft an awful lot of favors, because it's actually I'd always thought of the Gotha as having really spindly little booms as almost an afterthought, but you can see it's actually closer to a smaller scale like C-119 or Nautilus.
Yeah.
Than to me, I've always thought of it as a glider they stuck a couple of engines on. But it looks a lot different there.
There's a lot of potential on there for finishes as well, isn't there? Because there's quite a lot of potential on there for finishes as well, because obviously you've got fabric areas and presumably you've got metal areas around the engine nacelles. So there's potential to make that quite an interesting looking subject away from the design as well, in terms of paint finishes and having things that are faded and different patinas on it as well. I think I do think that I seem to remember rather that there were some of these aircraft were finished in a winter distemper as well. So quick question, chaps, because we're going to have to move on to the next news item. Of the two versions, which one would you plump for, glider or powered?
I would go for the powered one.
Yeah, me too.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a tough one. I might go for a glider just because I could put it in a diorama.
Yep. Ian?
I'd probably go with the glider, because the first thing I ever bought mail order in my life from Hannants was the Italeri glider. And the horse.
No way.
Which glider, Ian? The Horsa or the Waco?
No, the Gotha.
Oh, the Gotha, right? Okay.
I got that kit in that box probably, and the Italeri 111Z and the main ME321 in a one big part. Hannants.
I love the idea that original Italeri release had a Kugelwagen as part of the kit.
It did, yes. And I think that's the Kugelwagen that's in one of their D-Day diorama reissues this year.
Oh, really?
Sadly, in the reissues of this kit down the years, of which I do have one up in the loft, Kugelwagen didn't make it through to the reissues. I'm also going to plump with the glider, simply because I'm lazy and I don't want to do engines and propellers. So there we go. Next news item is, there we go. It's Dora Wings, and it's their 48 scale de Havilland Beaver. There has been a 48 scale Beaver in the past from Hobbycraft back in the 1980s. And I do seem to remember Hobbycraft did the fuselage in clear plastic, didn't they?
They did, didn't they? Yes.
Yeah. But this is this is going to be the start of a family of aircraft from Dora Wings. This one being L20s and U6As is primarily the American versions. Got to say that one with the day glow on it does look particularly colourful. I like the one with the black undersides as well. But excuse me. Obviously, a lot of people on this side of the pond will be pinning their hopes on Dora Wings doing British Army version, which I'm sure they will do.
Yeah, it was not a lot of difference anyway, is there? It's effectively, it's just that, effectively a Beaver is a Beaver pretty much. It's there's not a huge amount of variation in them as far as I'm aware. But stepping outside of that, there's just so much you can do with this scheme. Hopefully they'll do a version on floats at some point.
Yeah,
and then people can get stuck into the Canadian bush planes.
Yeah.
Can we not just say that this is a magnificent release and move on?
Yeah,
because
it's a magnificent release. Let's move on. Ian, one for you. And this is Italeri are bringing back their XJ220 with new parts.
Yeah. So what they've done is they've added some extra bits and pieces to their Exton Road XJ220 to make the GT car. It's not the Le Mans car. Can I just stress that? This is the car that raced in the Italian GT series. And this car's still existing. And as the decal option does actually say it's as seen at the Silverstone Classic in 2014. Still, it does go some way towards correcting the issues around the Italeri kit's construction, the original construction, and it means that you can. It's a somewhat better basis to make the Le Mans cars from. The thing with Italeri did their XJ220, and then Tamiya did theirs.
Yeah.
And you kind of know which way that's going to go. The thing is, Italeri have been very sensible with this. This is, Tamiya are not about to retool their car as an Italian GT racing version. This is a sensible decision to get extra life out of the mold. And and to be honest, I'm probably going to have one. I'm quite looking forward to get my hands on it. Apart from I think it's got a martini scheme on it, and I do like a martini scheme. Richie Griffiths might disagree with me. He thinks that it's the work of the devil, but there you go. But they've done some nice work to improve it. He's had let's just say he's had a few track issues around martini stripes. New tires. The pictures that they're providing and the artwork suggest the thing's ready. I believe it's shipping now into. Yeah, it's shipping now into our friends down the road. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to getting my hands on one actually.
Do we know what sort of price that is, Ian?
I understand that it's around the £35 mark.
That's not bad, is it? Yeah, it's not bad. It's a nice looking car in that scheme, actually. I like the martini. Why wouldn't you like the martini scheme?
Richie will curse me for this. Trying to build the Tamiya Porsche 935 Moby Dick, and I think he got through 4 decal sheets before.
Oh, that's not good.
So yeah, including one out of my kit, I think, because I was doing a different version. He just seems to have a mental block around martini, and it's not the first martini Porsche he's had that issue with either. So
coming from my end.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Somebody's saying, where's the music coming from?
Yeah, where's the music coming from? If anybody out there is wondering why it sounds like the opening to Xanadu outside, those are my wind chimes outside the window. And it's a bit breezy tonight. So I will photograph the wind chimes and put them on the Interesting Modelling Company page at some stage. But it's lovely. I sit in here with the radio on, so I'll either listen to the football or the rugby or listening to Radio 3. And I've got the wind chimes outside. It's very zen, ladies and gentlemen. It's very, very zen. Right, the next news.
Sorry, if I might, if you're following the comments, Richard has actually just commented in the YouTube comments with, "Oh, Martini, got to love them."
Decal victim.
Oh yes, yeah, there we go. Oh, Martini, got to love them. There we go. Next news item is now this is a little bit outside of our usual shtick on this show. This is a company called Zebrano and PST, and they're doing some 1/100th scale warships. And these are very interesting. 1/100th scale. That's we're having this discussion offline about what the provenance of this scale is, and is it a kind of like one? I know 196 is a very popular.
Filthy metricated Europeans.
Yeah, exactly. These appear to be a mix of 3D printing, wood, and photo etch. They look absolutely fascinating.
They look terrifying.
You know what I'm saying?
They look terrifying.
They do look slightly terrifying, don't they?
I'm intrigued, though. I'm absolutely intrigued. So I am going to do some. Anybody out there has any experience of these kits or any photographs, or ping them over to us and we'll share them. But we
long, that says.
You what? Sorry.
Yeah, go back to that last image. Sorry.
Oh.
That thing's got 122 photo etch parts and 10 3D printed bits, and it's 9.5 centimeters long. Where are you going to put all the bits in something 9.5 centimeters long? That's mental.
Well, there we go. That one
framework there.
122
That's
photo
even
parts.
worse.
Yeah, it's tiny. Teeny.
I have a good friend who builds Russo-Japanese war stuff, and I'm sure he's wetting his pants right now seeing these things. He's had to scratch build almost everything he's ever built.
Yeah.
So well, cool. If he's got wet trousers, we need to send a rescue chopper. Beautiful segue this, and there we go. Italeri are repopping their this obviously seems to be a victim of licensing here, because it doesn't say Sikorsky on the box, nor does it say Westland. So it is a Sikorsky 804S3 has 7 and an H19. Some very colourful schemes in this kit. So we've got that US Coast Guard one with the Chris. Would that be Arctic orange, or would it just be international orange?
It's actually in real life it's closer to red, but it's a strange color. It really is.
Then we've also got that rather funky. These are all slightly out of sequence here. Rather funky French one. Then we have this US Marine Corps one, which in I'm tempted to say sea blue gloss, but I get the funny feeling.
It says 35050 there, which is Blue Angels blue.
Yeah, it's probably more like gloss sea blue.
I would think that's 3504 15042.
Yeah,
is that engine grey?
No, it'll be sea blue gloss.
Oh right, okay, yeah. I'm not sure it should be flat, but perhaps there's an image out there of one that's looking a bit dull. And then we have the Royal Navy one in overall. That's going to be Drew. I think that's going to be RAF blue grey, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, with Dayglow on it. So,
in fact, I wouldn't be so sure, John. It might actually be glossy blue. That's one of those ones where it's probably worth double checking.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Dave says, you can't build a Westland version anyway from it. So there's too many engine changes and things to it, because it had I think I'm right in saying it had an Alvis Leonides engine, which was very different. I built this model a few times when it was first released, and it is for what you get in the kit, given the limitations, it's a lovely little model. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame that, but nice decal sheet by the way, and I also like the way that Italeri have done the tail rotor markings, and they've done it as kind of like a partial paint job on it as well. So that's quite ingenious. But yeah, hoping I might get the chance to build one for the hobby company, but alas, it probably won't be a Royal Navy one. Spence back in the house. There he is. Right, Drew, the next one on tonight's agenda, I get the feeling probably is up your Strasse, if you'll pardon the expression, and that is its Dream model. And they are doing I've lost I can't find the images here now. Where have they gone? They're doing
the Mirage.
They're doing the Mirage 2000C in special anniversary markings. Goodness me, it's not uploaded. Bear with at the moment, folks. Our first bear with of the night. Bear with. The images didn't upload properly, so here we go. It's nothing like professionalism, and trust me, this is not professional at all. There we go. That's a shot of the plastic. Is the kit out already, Drew? Or
well, they released the 2000D last year, and I there's actually, if people go back on my model page on Facebook, I did actually start sticking one together, and then stopped. I don't like it. It would be a nice model if it weren't for the fact that Models Fit are around, and the Models Fit knocks it into a cocked hat from every angle. It just feels a little bit clumsily tooled. It's not a bad model by any stretch of the imagination, but like I say, it's going back to that why would you pick Italeri if Tamiya have done the same subject sort of thing? Do you know what I mean? And this is very much in the same sort of in the same vein. Now I know that the Models Fit kit exists. Why would I? I wouldn't spend money on this. But it's nice enough. I mean, it's an option that's there if people, I wouldn't write it off. I just wouldn't choose it while there are other options available to me, which isn't very positive, is it? But
well, no, you are Mr. Mirage, because I know you have an affinity for the aircraft, so it's an informed opinion. You've built the Models Fit ones, and I know you're quite a fan of them. So I got to say the decal sheet on this does look quite spectacular, and I like the way they've done that kind of gradient with the honeycombing on it. So yeah. Right. Next. Anybody else?
So that was the retirement scheme for the aircraft.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mission accomplished across the back of the flaps.
Oh, did it? Right. I couldn't see that on the image there.
Mission accompli.
Oh, you're actual French, Mr. Horn. Right. The next one. This is. I was going to say it's a new company to me, but I then went online and had a quick look at some of the stuff they've done, and they've done quite a few kits. A company called Answer.
Yes.
And this is, well, if you thought that Edward crop spraying aircraft was a bit fugly, then this one is that's going some, isn't it? They've done 3 versions, and they've done the basic M18, and as you can see there, it says Balkans. So you can see by that bombed out water tower and the flak going past that this is one from the Yugoslav civil war. Then we have the M18 Dromada, I think that is the name, crop duster, which looks rather nice. That's obviously a German aircraft. And then they do the M18B firefighter. Out of the three, this looks interesting, and I am going to have a hunt around to see if I can find one of these, because it does intrigue me. Out of the three gents, which one would tickle your fancy? Firefighter,
that one? The M18A there,
I love that one too.
Yeah. I really like that, because I mean the one, what do you call it, the 37 that Edward did was fabulous, and I just think all these little crop sprayer stroke firefighting things are fabulous little aeroplanes.
Me too.
You know, the Dromeda has been in production for decades, and it still sort of trickles out now, because it's just very useful.
I like the firefighter. I've got a weird little collection of these airplanes. I got a PA-25 Pawnee over there waiting to be built. These kind of agricultural airplanes with a very high canopy and a very small engine, and the proportions look completely different from everything else in the case. But yeah, living in California, I think the fire bomber is the one I prefer.
And I think I'm right. They have this is available with a turboprop these days as well. So yeah, it's like the Canadair CL 215415. It just seems to trickle out constantly. You know, people buy one and two of them here and there, and it's fantastic looking aeroplane, isn't it?
At the risk of being that guy, I'd love to see one of these in 30-second.
Oh,
yeah,
you want to be that guy.
I mean, I love 70-second, but I'd love to see one of these on a larger scale, especially that one there, the crop duster, with loads of kind of detail of all the pipe work and everything underneath.
Oh, look at the opportunities for the engine at 30-second scale.
Yeah, I think that'd look amazing.
The power,
nice glossy steel.
It's quite impressive.
But that would be a project all in itself, wouldn't it? That engine.
Yeah.
Would you? I think it's a great looking thing. I think it's just.
Yeah, I do. I really like all of it.
Agricultural, isn't it? It's a tractor with wings. That's
you call it an agricultural aircraft, and that's in every possible sense. It's agricultural.
Yeah, I remember saying.
Sorry, Ian.
No, I remember seeing something that aircraft or an earlier incarnation of it in the old Observer Book of Aircraft, the little white one.
Yeah, the little white ones.
Must have been 8 or 9 and been absolutely fascinated by it at that point in time, because you the little black silhouette type profile and going, wow,
what's that?
I've never seen one. You know, what on earth is that? Read it and sort of stuff.
And again, if people go on YouTube, you can find videos of these doing their thing, like crop spraying and stuff. And the level of skill that the pilots have got is just absolutely next level. They're flying with they fly with GPS and all this sort of stuff these days, so their lines are dead on, like the exact spacing they need to be for each row they're spraying. It's phenomenal to watch.
I'm not sure if it's the same aircraft, but there's one on Instagram that's a female pilot that flies one of these crop dusters. And she's got and she films herself, and she's got like a phone in the cockpit and everything, and just to see them flying so low and the whole 9 yards that goes with it. I think they're fascinating aircraft. I think there's a lot about these, these ag planes that are kind of the things that would fascinate us as not only as a design, but also what they do with them. Drew's right. It's an unbelievable skill the way they fly these machines. you know, and the things that they do with them. I like them. I think this is a really good release. I'd love to build on.
It's very inspiring. We used to when we used to go on the road down to Southern California for contests, a bunch of guys in a van on Highway 5 through the Central Valley. We would occasionally see a crop duster in action, and the one that blew our minds was he was doing a field that was sort of perpendicular to the freeway, but there's a row of power lines. And so he'd fly his pass towards the freeway and then go under the power lines and then pull up and come around for a second pass and go under the power lines again and do the field. So it's like an air show every day. What
amazes me is that whenever you see these videos, you've always got somebody saying, "Oh, clearly an ex-military pilot," and I kind of think, why would he be?
No,
military pilot. I've had 15 years and I've got 2,000 hours on type. These people are flying 2,000 hours a year in these things because they're working every single day of the season. And so they're accumulating hours at a rate that a military pilot simply never, ever would. And it's like, no, military pilots are, the best in the world, but at their thing. These guys are the best in the world at their thing. If a military pilot switched from an F-16 to flying one of these, he'd effectively be starting all over again in the learning process.
But the same thing is appropriate when you're talking about bush pilots out in Alaska.
Yeah,
isn't it? Flying Super Cubs or whatever. There's something. When you see those machines being flown by those pilots out in those conditions, anybody that's interested in aviation has surely got to look at those and go, "God, that's so cool." Being able to land on beaches.
Oh, the bush flying stuff is just fun.
Just absolutely unbelievable, the things that they managed to do. And as a result of that, I think I've got three. I've got at least three. I might even have more than that, but I think I've got at least three of the Revell 32nd scale Cubs. The ones. They did different versions, didn't they? One with floats, one with the big balloon tires, one standard ones, and I keep looking at them, thinking, I really want to do a diorama around one of those, and put one of those in a hangar with like all the stowage around them and all of that sort of stuff, forklift trucks and everything. And I find that light aviation, I find really fascinating. I almost find it, I think as I've got older, I've almost found it more fascinating than military aviation, actually, when you see what these pilots do.
Given that these, especially the role for something like the crop duster, weathering ahoy, I think, it's got potential. I was going to say that. How do you pronounce it, Drew? Dromedar or Dromada? Or
it's Dromedar, isn't it? It's just dromedary camel, isn't it? It's Dromedar.
Yes. I was going to say its appearance is so kind of like it kind of reminds me of one of these, and this is Freedom are jumping onto the bandwagon with some. I think the idea of these started in Japan probably about 40 years ago. I think
it was 1984, 85. The egg planes came out.
Deformed kits, they called them. So it's not a new concept, and Freedom are coming in with they're doing an F-20 Tiger Shark and they're doing an HH-60G Pavehawk. I like the fact they're being very specific on the version because but yes, there we go. There's the Tiger Shark, and Freedom are offering you a single seat and a twin seat version. These just look impossibly fun, don't they? I know it's not going to be to everybody's tastes, but I can see these. I can see why these are popular. And yeah, these just look great, like a right old laugh, don't they? I mean, okay, I think the nose is too short and the fin's too tall, and no, I'm joking. But they are. There's the F. So they're doing a single seat and a twin seat, and then they're doing the HH-60G. Let's make sure we don't get the wrong version there, folks. And again, what I mean, if it gets people building models, I said this plenty of times before. I don't care what people are building, as long as they're building models, as long as they're building something. And if this encourages people to start building plastic kits, I ain't complaining.
I love that box art.
Yeah.
Built one.
That looks more like a sea sprite there.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
It looks really good. Yeah, it does look like a sea sprite. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it includes one full kit.
Well, because that's because they've got 2 on the box there, so people might think that you get 2 in there. But yeah, even though this says F20A, I get the feeling they're probably doing. Is it the F20G? Was that the twin seat?
F5G. No, that never was a twin seater.
I know. It's a fantasy construct. No, it looks like this boxing. They're only doing the single seat in this boxing. So I imagine the twin seat is going to be a no. I'm corrected. The twin seat is in there. Is on that box art. Is on those side profiles there. So not. I'll be honest with you. Not my cup of tea, but. I'm not gonna knock it for people who do like these things.
I have to go on record and saying I have an absolute visceral dislike of everything Eggplane. I loathe them. I absolutely loathe them. But they sell, so it's my personal feelings are irrelevant. But I hate them.
Oh, fair enough.
And again with feeling.
I hate them more than I'd hate being locked in a room and forced to listen to Drake for 24 hours.
Wow.
Right.
Moving on.
Yeah, let's move on before we get into trouble.
Eggplane away. Isn't the F20 Tiger Shark just almost heartbreakingly beautiful as now?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I know we've had a couple of them, haven't we? We've had a couple of them in 48 now and everything, but
the right aeroplane, almost precisely the wrong moment in time.
Oh, just
if ever an aeroplane managed to fit right in the gap of being completely ill-timed, it was the F20.
Mm-hmm.
It really
was. If it was 2 years earlier, I reckon it would have made sales.
Yeah.
Spence, didn't I build the Hasegawa kit when you were editor of MAI? I think I did, didn't I?
We had a build. Everybody.
No, I don't think you ever finished it. I don't think you finished it. I don't think you did.
No,
we had a group build.
Yeah, but I'm sure I finished it. I'm sure it was in the magazine.
I did the 48 scale one that came out. Was that Freedom models?
Well, we did, because we both did. We did them in the same article of MAI. I did an actual.
I think you did a production one, and I did a what if. I think that's how we did.
Yeah.
And I've still and Ian Ogilvie, God bless him, of this parish a little removed. He sent me an F5 Hasegawa F5 because I said I wanted to convert one in 32nd scale, which is still something I'd like to do. I have to say, I think that would look very nice.
Right,
but it is a beautiful airplane.
Yeah, absolutely. Last 2 news items for tonight. We're going to go out with a bang, quite literally. This is Riich. I don't know how would we Riich models. Riich.
Riich. I don't know. That's more difficult. That's more difficult to read than a black metal logo.
Just a bit, yeah. Anyway, they're doing in 1/35th scale. They're doing a US 75mm pack howitzer M1A1. You get 2 guns in the kit, but please note it says no model figures included. This does look a bit tasty. These are some. That's the muzzle brake. I do declare at the end there, but this looks rather nice. It's also including some either resin or 3D printed shells and ammo cases. Also, apparently, comes with a free jigsaw.
That's a nice.
Didn't Tamiya do one of these in white metal?
Quite possibly, because they did a series of kits.
They did
like
a couple
that.
of guns, didn't they? Wasn't this one of them that they did in a white as a white metal kit?
Mm-hmm.
This box contains parts to make 2 model kits. So
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
2 guns. Yeah.
So you get 2 guns, but no figures. But
they're going to be tiny, aren't they?
Yeah, they're not very big. No.
Yeah. It's almost more kind of like it's almost like more limber than it is gun, isn't it? But yeah, I like the look of that. And the last news item tonight, and it wouldn't be an interesting modelling company show without a reference to one of my favourite model kit companies, MiniArt. And there we go. MiniArt are mixing it up here with another concrete release. There we go. Don't we love MiniArt? Aren't they just?
You've been taking lessons from Tony Blackburn.
Yeah, I am. Actually. Yeah.
There's got to be more to this.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, absolutely fabulous. We do love MiniArt, don't we?
It's another one of those that they just keep banging these out. So clearly they're selling lots of them. Well, they wouldn't keep doing it, would they? But I really like the way that's you again. This is one of those ones where you could have a fantastic job time weathering it, couldn't you?
Yep.
With all the sprinkles of concrete all over the place, dried on it, and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I can almost hear Spencer's brain figuring out how he's going to weather that, because
I am literally sitting here thinking that. I'm thinking, how would I paint those figures? Yes, I am thinking.
Yeah.
I am thinking along those lines.
It's going to end up in the back corner of a diorama somewhere, and we're all going to go, "Oh yeah, look, that's how we did it." Yeah.
I do like it, although my thoughts are with 1/20th scale Tamiya racing cars at the moment in Heart Up, which we need to talk about.
Right, chaps, I'm afraid we've reached Drew's imposed limit of 8:30. It's his fault. Any other business?
Nice.
Are we doing now that I've basically done 2 in a row for the first time in 12 months? Are we doing a Christmas?
Oh gosh, edition? Yes, of course we are. Of course we are.
Are we doing it next Sunday? Are we?
Quite possibly, but isn't next Sunday also Sports Personality of the Year?
Which sounds like the perfect night to do it then.
Yeah. Okay. Right, that's fine. Yeah, we'll do next Sunday.
Unless it's football, John, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard people say football is a matter of describe football as a matter of life and death. I can assure you, it's much more serious.
Way more important than that.
Unless it's football, in which case it also doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up, Drew.
Right, you 4. Any other business?
I have a product.
You have a what?
A product.
Go on then.
Been recommended to this.
Go on.
So, someone told me to have a look at this stuff. This is called Macure tape. It's a medical tape again, and it's a foam type. I was looking for something for cushions on racing seats. You know, like the seat pads.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's a self-adhesive foam tape. It's quite thin. It's got a nice texture to it, and if you cut it to shape, put it into your seat and spray it, holds paint really well, and dry brushes to a nice texture.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
And it's a few quid from Amazon. And say MACURE tape. Quite a useful little product.
Ian, could you do us all a favour and stick a link up on the Interesting Modelling Company public page?
Always. There you go.
There we go. Chris, any other business?
None for me, thank you.
Okay. Spence, any other business?
No, I think did I mention I was on holiday for the
you might have dropped it in there. Yeah.
And also, I just want to put this out there because it seems to be bothering me an awful lot. When it comes to Hornets and Super Hornets in particular, why is the Growler the coolest of the lot?
Because it's the coolest of the lot. The Growler is the only variant of the Super Hornet I have any time for whatsoever.
I would like to go further than that, Mr. Drew of Manton. I think the Growler might be the coolest Hornet variant, full stop.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. It is the coolest of the cool. It is an awesome.
In which case,
it's what the Super Hornet needed to make it look like a proper aeroplane.
In which case, do I need to build one of those?
The Meng one is fabulous.
Then
the Meng 48 scale. I built it the other year, didn't I?
You did. I need to do that, don't
I? And it is just, and you can do an Australian one as well.
No, it's got to be. It's going to have to be an American one.
But yeah, all the stuff on it, all the stuff on the Growler is what the Super Hornet needed to make it look busy and you know. And I still hate those toed out pylons though. Just God, it's horrible.
Right, my any other business, and I'm going to be I'll be as brief as I possibly can, and I want to give a big shout out to Anthony Bird, who sent me a rather splendid package of goodies. Goodness me, he sent me a Despy reciprocating sander. God, brilliant! Can't wait to get that in the loop. He also sent me. This is so generous of the guy. He sent me a Despy. I'm trying to remember what this is. It's an aluminium hand drill. So absolutely fabulous. Also, an AK wet palette with some of the accessories to go with it. So brilliant. And he also sent me a little pack here of sanding sponges, which generosity personified. And this it's a model spraying fixing bridge. So you essentially stick your toothpicks and things in these holes. I just love these kind of Japanese products that are they're so kooky. And he sent me a riveting tool. I know you're watching this at the moment thinking this is riveting viewing, but there we go. We've actually got a riveting tool and a dry brush set. Oh my goodness me, a dry brush set. So I can't wait to go retro and start doing some dry brushing. And a photo etch folding tool as well. And I forgot, I don't even know what this is at the moment. I haven't opened this up. It's
the wet palette, isn't it? Oh,
it's some brushes. Goodness me. I am genuinely gobsmacked by his generosity. And finally, an actual proper branded Optivisor. Oh my goodness me. To say I was overwhelmed by his generosity is an understatement. So, Anthony, you are a star. There is a box winging its way to you. It's not quite as full of as goodies as these, but there are some things in there for you. So, a big thank you to Anthony for that. Also, a big shout to Russell Taylor and Simon James Colley for sending us links this week for the show as well. So to everybody who's commented tonight, I'm sorry we've not been able to. I feel like Tony Hart here, or Pat Kaiser. Unfortunately, we cannot return your paintings, but there is a prize for everyone's show. No, unfortunately, we haven't been able to go through all your comments tonight, but we do appreciate the interaction. Gents, you're all more than welcome to regroup next Sunday if you wish.
Yeah, I think we'll have the Christmas one next Sunday, I think.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
Yeah.
Right, works for me. So until next Sunday, when we'll have our big Christmas blowout, it just
And
remains.
we'll make it a bit of an open-ended one. Let's not.
Yeah, it's not going to. No ghost stories next week. It's
Yeah.
We'll do ghost stories another night. So just going to say thank you to Drew, to Ian, to Spence, and to Chris, and to everybody who has tuned in tonight. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your support for this wacky channel that we do. We will see you all hopefully in a week's time. So until then, as always, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you soon.
Take
Bye
care
for
all.
now.
Bye.
Wow.